New here at 6, a federal judge expected to rule on a request to stop President Trump's executive order that overhauls our nation's election system from taking effect by tomorrow. Jessica Huseman is the editorial director for VoteBeat. That's a nonprofit that covers election administration and voting access. She is live to discuss once again. Jessica, thanks for rejoining us. We appreciate it. Let's start with this dispute itself. President Trump has put together this executive order. Tell me what, I guess, the 2 or 3 main points of contention are here.
Yeah, of course. So I think chiefly the main concern is that the executive order would require documentary proof of citizenship. Specifically, a federal agency would be required to update a form to require that, and states would have to figure out how to get that done. So that's the thing that I think most people are concerned about. It also changes a few standards around vote by mail.
Remind me about the proof of citizenship. Is that something that you do at the registration process, or is that something that the president wants people to do at the ballot box?
It is currently something that you do at the registration process in part. So when you register to vote, you either have to provide your driver's license number or your social security number or a partial of one of those things. And they use that to verify that you are eligible to vote. But that is as far as federal law requires us to go in terms of verifying citizenship. This would go a little bit further and require you to, upon registration, provide something like a passport or a birth certificate to prove that you were born in the United States or are a citizen of the United States. And there's a lot of different ways that that could be done, and it's not very clear from the executive order at what stage people would be required to present that documentation, but certainly very few people who are currently registered to vote have that documentation on file.
There's also mail-in voting that's affected. Remind us who the plaintiffs are and what the relief is that they're seeking.
So they are also seeking to roll back the various state deadlines for vote by mail. And this is specifically affecting military voters. So the executive order would require all ballots to be cast and counted by Election Day. There are a few states that allow ballots to come in after Election Day if they're postmarked. There are even more states that make an exception for overseas and uniformed military ballots that come in and are cast by people who may not have that much control over international mail timing. And so it's those groups and individuals supporting those groups that are intervening on behalf of military members and their families.
Give me an idea of the headwinds here. Has President Trump shown any sign of a willingness to compromise, or is it all going to come down to this opinion, which is supposed to come tomorrow?
It is supposed to come tomorrow. I think it could probably come Friday. The courts are not known for necessarily being prompt when they tell us they're going to be. So we are expecting it this week. It could have a range of outcomes, right? It could restrict part or all of the executive order or none of it. So we'll just have to see. But I think VoteBeat will be waiting for that on pins and needles.
Jessica, what is the prevailing opinion on this as to how it affects democracy should this executive order hold?
If it holds, I think we're going to expect to see a lot of people be disenfranchised, candidly. This is something we're getting from across the political spectrum. The way that we would have to go about documentarily proving citizenship is pretty difficult for counties and states to implement. It's a lot of paper, it's a lot of verification, it's a lot of time, and we're talking about millions of registered voters in the United States. And so if that becomes a prerequisite for any of us to vote, then it's going to inconvenience all of us at least a little bit.
Jessica Huseman at VoteBeat. Hopefully we can get you back once we know the ruling. Thanks so much.
Thank you.